Give me a second here, folks. Just want to get checking. Sorry, I'm running really late, and let's say doing the best we can. How about that? What do you think about that? Yes. Now, when is the date of the big eclipse? Sorry, we're looking at... Give me a second here. I want to get some dates sorted out because we got the big one. All right, so we got... The one that everyone's talking about is on April the 8th, but we do have another eclipse before then, and that's March 25th. Okay, over here. Okay, eclipses usually operate in pairs. Well, as far as I know, they always operate in pairs. I might be wrong. But anyway, that's March 25th. And the... Sorry. Okay. So the sun will be in Aries and the moon will be in Libra. So we have to watch out for that because that's going to trigger the North Node and Chiron. And it's going to make a lot of people, billions of people, very, very sensitive. And they're going to start to wake up and get really pissed off. On April the 8th, I haven't marked it in yet, but it's right here. This is when we get the big, famous eclipse that's going to be going all across America with traversing 8 towns that all have the same name. Apparently it's Nineveh, which is something to do with the Bible. So I don't know how to interpret that. But anyway, at that time, Mercury will already have been retrograde for a week. So we'll come to that. We're not quite there yet. I don't want to rush too far ahead. So, let me go back and hang out with you guys. Hello, good evening. Let me just get off the what do you call it? God, I've got some... Sometimes I really don't know how I even get these shows off the ground, frankly, because I can get the technology to work, and I sort of know what I'm doing up to a point. But there's so much more potential that basically cannot be accessed, partly because of my own limitations and also because of limitations that are, let's just politely say, that are imposed upon me. But anyway, so we do what we can. Like right now, I'm doing everything I can to operate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 softwares simultaneously just to do what we do here. It sounds ridiculous because obviously everything looks perfectly normal and smooth. Like, what could possibly go wrong? Anyway, let me say hello just to prove that I'm actually here and I'm not just a piece of... Hold on. Hello. I'm TarotLumination. I am running an astrology channel. We do in-depth analysis of the planets. Can you tell that I am actually now a piece of AI? I'm artificially intelligent. There you go. There we go. Actually, scrabble that. Forget everything I just said. This is the real TarotLumination. Do not be fooled by AI impersonations. Oh, my channel got slammed again today. Well, yeah, last night. Today, I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, it's just so tedious. It's just really, really tedious. All right, so good evening and welcome. Hello, Esther. I see you out there. I wonder if you still got a lot of snow up in New York. Hello, Necessary. You're up there in the Brooklyn, New York area. Anthony, hi. Necessary. Yeah, hi. Okay. Yeah, little Inspector Bubba. He was here for a few moments. He was getting very sensitive because he just loves to be in the center of attention, and he puzzles about things that are around him. Like when he actually finds himself and places himself at the center of attention, then he spends a lot of time observing and analyzing and trying to figure out and understand what's going on and how does this work for me, Bubba. When am I going to get my next meal? What about cuddles later tonight? Always needing fresh supplies of crispy, clean water. How's that going to happen? Who and what is going to cause trouble? Now, some of you know dear, beautiful Bonnie. She departed a few weeks ago, but she still comes and hangs out here as a little cat ghost. She's very, very beautiful cat. And sometimes, most of the time when I see her and feel her from behind the veil, she appears to me, instead of jet black, absolutely black as black can be, she comes across more like wolf, like a wolf coloration, even though she's not even a dog. She's a little cat. I don't know of any cat breeds that look like wolf colors. I guess there are some. Okay. So every now and again, at least probably once or twice a day, Bubba and Boo Boo go out wandering throughout the house trying to find out, where's Bonnie? Where is she? Where's little Bonnie? Sometimes I can see her. And she likes to jump around everywhere and be chased. She can be a bit of a tease, frankly. But anyway, every now and again, I think the boys miss her. Bubba and Boo Boo, whatever the nature of their relationships were, there was 3 of them, and they were together for many years. Now she's gone. There's definitely a gap, something missing. Yeah, but we do okay. Oh, you did get some snowfall. Okay. Definitely feeling the Aries one. All right, okie dokie. So, all right, let me just go over here for a moment. Let me, first of all, I want to apologize for being so late. I got your notes, Gregory. Thank you very much. So we will get you set up with a mini reading. I don't know how long I'm going to be here tonight. I barely made it to my own show. Oh, boy. Yes, Bubba on the catwalk, that's for sure. He's actually a very beautiful cat. Maybe I should set up a whole YouTube channel. There's channels that have millions and millions of views and followers just because it's all about a cat. Anyway, so I've got some leftovers. My gosh. It's been a bit weird here. I'm sorry. There's so much Pisces energy going on right now. The Aries vibe is very strong with the North Node and Chiron, undeniable. And I've just been trying to navigate my own life just to get through these particular transits. And some days are good, some days are not so good. And because I try to study things like on the go and have a bit of a glimpse ahead in advance, it gives me an advantage in being able to navigate and get through the day astrologically, spiritually, emotionally, and so on. And if I didn't do my homework, I would be an absolute train wreck, because you could say I'm very sensitive. But anyway, so I'm always looking for clues so I can blame it on the planets. Lo and behold, they're right there. Like right now, tonight, I think it's already moved on, but the moon was, the last couple of hours, it's been at 29 degrees Pisces. So that's a very like super wimpy aspect for me personally. So yeah, I'm hoping you can accept that as my excuse for being a little bit late. Now, I made a few notes. Let's go over here. Let's see. By the way, Anthony, how do we pronounce the other name? Anthony, I'm scared to say it just in case. Could you maybe type it out phonetically? I don't know. I'm just doing a favor for everyone else because we all probably want to know. Let's go over to the stage. This is where we do the heavy lifting, people. This is where we do our mini readings. This is where I do our astrology. A couple of things I've noticed about channels in general since I've been doing this for years, and I've got my own channel and we've had our ups and downs. The way a lot of channels are operating now is they do lots of little videos, 2 a day, 5-10 minutes. That's it per video. And they just do it 7 days a week. So it's like clockwork. And so I have not been able to do that. I have excuses. I have what I feel are legitimate excuses. But eventually I'd like to get to the point where I could do 2 little videos a day. Maybe 1 mini live stream and 1 just like a report. Frankly, I do not like recording videos and then posting them. It's a freaking pain. I'd rather just go straight up live and whoever shows up or not, we just deal with it. So, this is what we've got today. I'm going to have to get a pen to show you. It's such a tight cluster and compression. It's been that way for weeks and weeks. With the a while back it was Capricorn and Aquarius, but now it's Aquarius and Pisces, and it's lightening up a little bit in Aquarius. But over here, okay, so for example, there's Saturn, okay, in Pisces. There's the Sun in Pisces. There's Neptune in Pisces, and there's the Moon in Pisces. Now, by the end of tonight's show, the Moon will start to creep into Aries, because the Moon just goes whizzing around. But you're still going to have Saturn, Sun, and Neptune over there, Pluto, Mars, and Venus over there. It's still quite a lot of compression. The compression is going to start to ease up. This is the pressure of the North Node here. The Aries North Node, of course, we've talked about this many times, where there will be a natural, almost lustful craving to be one's own natural sovereign self. But it can be kind of scary because on the South Node over here, we're looking at 8 billion people with a default setting of being in relationship where we, let's say, do relationships on autopilot, or we export, or what's the word? Outsource our life experience to other people in relationships. And when it gets over here in the South Node, it's to the point where it's unhealthy and it's obsessive, to the point where I don't want to be me because it's too scary and too weird to actually follow the journey to be my sovereign self. So I'm just going to continue to default to my Libra South Node behaviors and hint, hint, whisper, whisper, suffer accordingly. And people don't like to disrupt what they already know. There's the fear of the unknown over here, and then there's the comfort of what we already know, even though a lot of it is dysfunctional. The relationship between the Chinese Communist Party and the people of China, for example. 1.5 billion people. Chaos, desperation. A lot of them are craving to be themselves. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Actually, let me put the... where is it? I got to find my post-it notes. Oh no, come on. I can't believe it. I can't find my post-it notes. I got to get a post-it note up here for Gregory Ross, because Gregory's already booked a mini reading in advance. Okie doke. Let's get this out here first, because, taking care of business. There we go. Thank you, Gregory. So this is what we have right now. This is going to go on for the rest of the year, the rest of 2024. Pluto in Aquarius at the 0, 1, 2, 3 mark is going to put incredible pressure on the theme of revolution, upheaval, and chaos across the world, especially with politics and, well, the world itself, and all the countries, the nations, the different races, the different religions, the different ethnicities and social groups, whatever you want to call them. It's all going through a state of massive revolutionary upheaval. One of the main drivers that I personally sense is going on is just the sheer number of people on the planet now. When I was a little kid, we didn't even have half of what we have today. But, and I've said this many times, I don't mean to be rude, but we're at the point in some places where it's like rats in a cage. It's so heavily populated and resources are so heavily diminished that people are starting to riot out of terror and fear because of starvation, dehydration, disease, war, and chaos. Okay, so we're already seeing that in regions throughout here. We're seeing it over here. We're seeing it over here. It's absolutely crazy stuff going on. Of course, with the theme of revolution, it's very easy to slip into the word war, revolution and war, revolutionary war. And I'm going to use another word later on in my notes, which might get my video shut down, but I'm going to probably say it anyway. So here's an interesting astrological quirk. Pluto is in Aquarius at about 1 degree. Neptune and the moon are in Pisces at the very high degrees, like 20, 26, 27, 28, 29. And in a moment, for the moon, it's going to be 0 to 1 degree Aries. So right now, before the show started, about an hour ago, we had this beautiful sextile between here and here. But it doesn't make sense at first glance because, wait a minute, how can you have Aquarius sextiled with Pisces energy? That would be an inconjunct. But the degrees are so far apart that it's effectively like having Aquarius and Aries. Or you could look at it as Capricorn and Pisces. In other words, the Aquarius-Aries vibe would be a green sextile like this. Or the Capricorn-Pisces vibe would be a green sextile like this. It's because the angles are so right on the cusps, okay? So it's hard to tell between Capricorn and Aquarius or between Pisces and Aries. So I like to give it a bit of both. There you go. And just adds to the confusion. So, the other thing that is screaming out of this chart is this big, fat, hard T-square. It's unrelenting. Poor China. Mars in Aquarius, the energy of revolution, freedom fighter type of energy, is in hard square with Uranus in Taurus. So on this chart, it would be the global financial system. But in particular, it's for China, simply because China is born with Aquarius on the horizon here. And so we have multiple problems for China. And you know, I keep going on and on and on about China. Look at my notes. China, 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 and other stuff. China, 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 other stuff. So if you look at it from this perspective, there is the horizon, all right? There you go. There's your horizon. There's Aquarius on the horizon on this side. There's Leo on the 7th over this side, okay? So if you crawl all the way over here to the Taurus section. Taurus would represent loosely the fourth house, the foundations of China. Very, very solid, real material, let's say, worldly matters. In other words, China, or let's call it the Chinese Communist Party, is very interested in being rich at home, and visibly, obviously rich, and that's in let's say that is in extreme jeopardy right now, because the Uranus in Taurus here, the Jupiter in Taurus is here, is creating effectively immense instability in the foundations of what we now call China. China is operated by the CCP. So the real problem is the ruling elites, the Chinese Communist Party. They are in very, very deep trouble, and they are literally falling apart at the seams. Okay? Hi, Tina. So that is very serious. It's been going on, and it's going to keep going on. Okay? The next thing, if you I don't even have to move the chart. This is still for China. Look at this. You've got the Pluto in Aquarius right here. Okay, sorry, over here. You got Mars in Aquarius and Venus in Aquarius right here. So that tells you that there's a tremendous amount of upheaval and chaos and revolution inside China, and that's exactly what's happening right now. A lot of the Chinese people are waking up and saying, enough is enough is enough. Enough with the CCP thingamajig. Next, it makes it even worse. Look at this. This is the Pisces vibe over here. You've still got Saturn, Sun, Neptune, and Moon over here in Pisces. That's the second house of money. So does it surprise you that the whole of the financial system in China, the People's Bank of China, is imploding? Their whole economy is imploding? No. Because you saw it on TarotLumination. All right, so I just wanted to put those out. It's very hello Russian Thoughtbot. Yeah, it is actually. It's more than poor China. From my perspective, it's terrifying. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, I remember long ago the collapse of the Soviet Union, and a fellow called Gorbachev saying, "Tear down the wall." And so they tore down the wall between communist Russia and the rest of Western Europe. Of course, there's still despotism going on today, but it was a very big deal. There have been lots and lots of, historical moments. I've never dealt with anything like this. This is the big one. It's because of Pluto, and it's because of Pluto going through a particular chapter that affects human outward behavior and experience in very, very obvious ways. Like when Pluto was in Scorpio, people didn't talk about it the way we talk about it now, with Pluto in Capricorn and Pluto going into Aquarius, okay? Your phone's back on after a month, yay! Congrats. Yeah, so my notes on China. I should probably just jump straight into the notes, but it's really frightening. I watch, I look at some of the propaganda coming out of China, which is ludicrous, and then I look at some of the reality of what's going on in China. And that's terrifying. And it's an enormous disparity between truth and false. True and false. It's basically another example of tyranny versus freedom. The tyrannical rulers are in charge. They have all the power and all the money and all the control. And the people want to be free. But the tyrants are losing all their power and money and control because of their insane communist policies. It's inevitable. It always falls apart, and that's what's happening. Doesn't matter how big it is, how much power they have, or how much power they think they have. Mr. Ping is going down big time. So it's kind of scary to watch an enormous economy and 1.4 billion people imploding in real time. And it's happening so bad, so fast that we can witness it. It isn't just talk and then like 10, 20, 30 years later, oh, something bad happens. It's happening right now. All right, so, yeah. Hi, Tina. Hello, Russian thought bot. Yeah. You did have snow. Okay, cool. So let me go to my little notes. Please bear with me. I just want to get this off of my chest because I carry it all week. Maybe if I did my, a show a day, 2 little shows a day, I wouldn't come over so stressed. But anyway, let's have a look. So right now, I'm starting my notes with China. Okay, where's my little China? Okay, and here we go. There's the Pacific. Look at that. There are certain parts and places of outer space where all you would see of the Earth is the ocean. Look at that. That would be ocean. Oh, look, there's South America. There's North America. Okay, Africa. Look how tiny Western Europe is compared to Africa. Anyway, we're talking about China. There's China. They are in very, very deep trouble. 1.4 billion people live there. And it's all run by the CCP. Number one, the implosion is happening and it's expanding big time. The Chinese yuan, which is their currency, is imploding live in real time. Riots and unemployment is happening all over the country because of their economy imploding. Basically, money is leaving China. Countries, manufacturers, big brand names are leaving China. Car manufacturing, leaving China. Big money is terrified of putting money into China because they've figured out that it's going into a black hole of theft, corruption. The Chinese banks are in so much trouble that they are actively stealing the deposits from their depositors. And the depositors are running around rioting because they can't get their money. It's been stolen. Generations, lifetimes of money for a billion poor people just vaporized. And then the thieving bankers dress up in fancy clothes and go to Hong Kong, and then they take an airplane to America or Europe and hide. And they pretend to be nice. It's so bad that the People's Bank of China was caught yet again, but this time on a much bigger scale, releasing and issuing fake dollar bills to be circulated into the economy and outside of China to try and salvage the yuan. Because it's a bit dangerous going into the finances. But anyway, I guess I'll explain it later over here. Hold on. Hello, Ivona. Thanks for visiting. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for listening to my rant. So what's happening right now, China's manufacturing is so desperate that they are dumping a lot of their manufactured products across the world, especially electric cars. They're basically almost giving them away to around the world to try and generate cash and revenue and let's say importing money from their exports, but it's not working. Germany just imported like 30,000 Chinese cars, all little baby electric cars, and Germany's going to discover the hard way that was not a good idea. Also, there are reports now that Mr. Ping himself is showing a lot of physical signs of desperation. Literally, almost the way that Uncle Joe over here in our country called America is starting to show a lot of physical characteristics of a person in serious decline. And of course, he has an excuse. He's an elderly gentleman. But I don't think Mr. Ping has any intentions of going away. But he lives with desperate fear that his country is imploding, and he's also desperately frightened of being assassinated. So it's pretty scary in China right now. 1.4, well, there's about, I don't know, probably 200 million people in China who have some money and a life, but everyone else, 1.2, 1.3 billion people, their lives are imploding. Poverty, starvation is rampant. A couple of things about America. I live right close to Nellis Air Force Base, just up the street here. We just got an announcement today that over the next few weeks, there are going to be major international war games. Armies and militaries and air forces are coming from all over the world to go play war games right up the street here. So that means I'll just show you. Okay, I'm broadcasting from here in Las Vegas. We had massive chemtrails today, so you can't see the sky or anything. It's just like white. It's just like somebody poured flour or icing sugar over the whole of the sky. But anyway, Nellis Air Force Base is right here, and they use all of this. This is an enormous piece of land for war games. Okay? So that's starting next week. The other thing we're starting to see is martial law. It's happening in Chicago. It's happening in Manhattan, New York. They're bringing the military in to look over and apparently supervise the subways and public transportation. Okay. We also know that over in Texas, Governor Abbott has theoretically shut down parts of the barriers, but you also have to remember that Governor Abbott has spent a lot of time and money shipping hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of migrants all over the United States to separate cities. And Mr. Abbott is himself a member. He's got 4 pages of active membership at the World Economic Forum. Remember, as far as I'm concerned, this is enemy number 1. So, as much as Abbott and Texas are trying to do their job, they're actually facilitating the invasion that's happening in America right now. There are 2 very, very courageous reporters, one Michael Yon and his friend Anna something or other, Novichoskovy or something like that. And they go deep into the border and the Darien Gap. You can watch the reports on Redacted on YouTube. It's terrifying. It's terrifying because what they're describing, what Michael and Anna are describing, is a full-blown mega military scale operation to bring in look here. Okay, the Darien Gap is right here. So tens of thousands of militants and fighting, basically males who are either already military, let's say, experienced, are being brought in from all over the world. They're being paid by the United Nations, okay, the World Economic Forum, and all the NGOs and Open Society Foundation from George Soros. They're being paid enormous amounts of money to fly into these regions here, and then they're being moved up through here and shipped into the United States. Also, as you know by now, Grandpa Joe himself financed the flights direct. I mean, forget the border. Direct flights from outside America into military bases here in America, bringing in these non-American militants and housing them at military bases here. So in other words, we the people, we're being invaded. Our government is paying for that to happen. It's bait. The American people are being baited. It's a setup for civil war. Okay, I'm just letting you know. Slow and gentle. And one stage in that direction will be the martial law that's coming and spreading all across America. Martial law. That's when the military starts to take over. And that does not equate freedom. So it's a setup for civil war. And the civil war that's being set up is between what are called patriots, American patriots. I consider myself an American patriot. Versus the despotic, maniacal, communist globalists who are doing everything they can to destroy the United States from within. Okay? So I'm just giving you the updates. I can get you all that news if you want to, but you can find it yourself. In Europe, chaos, okay? Number one, Ukraine is desperate, as you know. They're falling apart. They're screaming, get me into NATO. Send me more guns, more billets, more helicopters, more ammo, more. Send more billions and billions and billions and billions. Ukraine can't possibly beat Russia. Not even close. No, I see what you're saying, Esther. It really isn't. I'm not that far away. I'm going to have some of Bubba's water here. Anyway, over in Europe, there's a lot of chaos, as you know, because of these Agenda 2030s, COP28, the climate cult, and the whole process of trying to rip Europe to pieces and turn it into another version of a communist totalitarian empire that's ruled by the United Nations and the European Union. I don't think it's going to work, frankly. There's a lot of riots and protests from the farmers across Europe who are basically saying, excuse me, do you understand that if you destroy farms and farmers, you're actually going to hurt yourself? Duh. So there's a lot of uproar in the European Union, the United Nations, and the United Kingdom. Sweden just joined NATO, and there's lots of military buildup. Okay, you've probably heard about it all over here. Huge military buildups all over these border states here, border countries between the so-called West, NATO, and the so-called Russians over here. So this is the war zone over here. It stretches all the way down to here and here. This whole line is essentially a war zone. And the fuse is already lit, and it's smoking and it's fuming, and there's bombs and missiles being dropped, but nobody has yet dropped the big one. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But with Mars and Aquarius, that's a freedom fighter. There are people who are saying enough is enough is enough is enough. That's why you're getting classic examples of we the people protesting and marching and screaming and ranting. We want what we want. In Africa, of course, it's a civil war all over the place. Pretty much every state. In the Middle East, we just talked about it. That's part of the war zone. Jews versus Arabs, 3,000-year-old war. More blood, more blood. You dig deeper, it's about the oil and the gas outside of Palestine and Gaza. Okay. When you look at this chart here, you might have noticed, you might have heard how Bitcoin, okay, think of Uranus and Taurus as symbolic of Bitcoin, revolutionary new ideas in money. It's on fire right now. Okay, it's absolutely on fire. Got to be very careful of the pumps and dumps, people, okay? So if you're a speculator in cryptocurrencies, be very, very careful, okay? The other thing you've probably heard about is the riots in Haiti. Now, please understand, these are instigated by the USA and the CIA. They have to have instability here in order to keep the sugar plantation scams going so that we can get cheap sugar in America to process it for our food and candy. A lot of sugar comes out of Haiti. And if Haiti was actually paid what the sugar is worth, American food and candy would be 10 times more expensive. And the big food companies obviously don't want that to happen. So they need war and chaos and blood and death over there. Also, you heard about, I'm sure, the United airplane jets, the Boeing jets that have crashed over and over and over again. You've probably heard about the helicopters, the American helicopters that are crashing everywhere. You've probably heard about the big fires, you know, the big Texas fires. A lot of this stuff, frankly, it's let's just call it what it is. It's sabotage. There are saboteurs inside our country, and they are working systematically to destroy and test the weak points of our infrastructure. In other words, your telecoms, you know, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, and all of that stuff. All the oil and gas pipelines that go over here and over here and over here and over here. All the electricity power grids that go all over here, here, and here. Well, frankly, the whole country. The water systems, okay? Lakes, dams, rivers. Also, on top of the United States, of course, as you know, we have satellites sitting around here. Thousands of little satellites, which are used for doing our Google Maps and navigations in our cars and everything. So if you look at it like this, on a 3D scale, there's North America, and we have an enormous amount of little tiny satellites that operate. Let's see if I can do it like this. See, there's the surface of North America. And the ionosphere is only like 60, 80, like maybe 100 miles thick at the most. So you really, on this globe, you wouldn't even see the ionosphere. It's so thin and tiny. But the satellites, they operate, they float just a little bit above the ionosphere. So like the tip of my pen would be about the level at which these satellites are floating around the place. There's some big satellites that fly around up here, you know, hundreds of miles over out of the Earth, and so on. But anyway, all of those are in jeopardy. So that's just part of the energy of revolution and wars. I want to talk lastly. Sorry, please be patient. Thank you for listening to my rants. I do a lot of studying to try and get these things into very simple ways that I can understand. I love to study and follow and watch the global monetary systems. Now, I've been learning recently the difference between monetary policies and fiscal policies. And so, in the United States, for example, monetary policy is all about the printing of money and the organization and the raising and lowering of interest rates. And that's done by the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank. Okay? These people basically control the world. Okay? They do it through the global financial system. They have two tools. One is interest rates. The other is printing money, or slowing down the printing of money. This operates in its own bubble for its own advantage. In other words, to make money. How is the Federal Reserve going to raise or lower interest rates, print or stop printing money in order to make as much money for itself through the global currency trading markets? Okay? So that's that. That's one component I'm talking about. The other component is fiscal policy, and that's also the Fed, but it's the Fed government. In other words, attitudes, behaviors, strategies, and plans. And it's very common for the fiscal policy to be very contradictory and contrary to monetary policy. They're trying to work together, but sometimes it doesn't pan out. The fiscal policies, for example, in the United States right now, over the last 3 years, were incredibly dangerous and reckless in terms of printing astronomical amounts of money and basically forcing stock prices up, asset prices up, 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 at the expense of we the people. So people who own huge stocks like Blackstone, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, anything like the big pension funds, they're all into that. So it's all pumping up, 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 up. And so that's great because the fiscal policy is working with monetary policy. Let's pump it up, baby. The downside is when you pump that up the way they do, it creates havoc inside the United States for the average person. In other words, the net result is when you pump so much currency into the market, housing prices go up, 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 up. Asset prices go up, 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 up. Car prices go up, up, up. Because that money has to find a place to land somewhere. So in other words, you've got more and more and more currency chasing the same goods and services. So it's inevitable that prices go up, 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 up. In order to slow it down, in order to slow down you have to understand that's inflation. So with the inflation, the reason why it's so destructive is because it's an invisible form of theft. It works for these guys at the expense of we the people. So what happens? It's a draining, it's an extraction of wealth from we the people. In order to slow it down, at the same time as printing more money, they fool themselves like, well, if we keep printing trillions of dollars and we increase the interest rates, maybe we can control things in a way that are more stable. It's insanity, okay? But anyway, that's where we are right now, and there's really no end in sight because they don't have any other games, they don't have any other tricks, and every other central bank across the world has to play along in the same game because the United States Federal Bank essentially is the reference point for the whole of the rest of the world. We can just change our interest rates here by 1 or half or quarter %, and that has enormous ripple effects across the whole of the rest of the world. I'll try and explain that because it's very, very important to understand how the US dollar can be turned into the most powerful weapon on earth. So, think of it as a pump, okay? When the fiscal policy goes up and the Fed government says, we need to save more people. We need to have more welfare, more humanitarian aid, more NGOs. We need to have more aid for migrants, for lots and trillions of dollars for free migrants, billions for Ukraine, billions for Palestine or whatever. So please, print me more money. Print me more money so I can do the things that I want to do to save the world. So the Fed says, well, okay, I'll do that, but there's a cost, okay? And then the Fed government says, I don't care, just do it. So, but it creates massive inflation across the world. So, in order to slow it down, the Fed says, you know, this is insane. We have to slow it down. We're going to raise interest rates. So guess what happens? When they raise interest rates, like right now it's about 5%. Just imagine if they raised it to 8%. Just imagine the U.S. Federal Reserve raises it to 8%. You know what would happen? Pretty much every country in the world would start sending its money into the United States to buy certificates of deposit or to invest in U.S. treasuries because they're going to get, guess what? 8% return on their money. Simple, okay? The problem with doing that is that it destroys the American economy internally. A lot of pain for the American person themselves. But the fiscal government says, I don't care. Just do it, do it, do it, do it. Now, the scary thing is that when they raise interest rates like that, it can be great for the currency markets for America, but it makes the dollar so strong that it makes our exports so expensive that these folks can't afford it anymore. So they think, shit, man, I can't quite get that American thing or that American oil and gas anymore. We can't afford it because the dollar is so strong. It means our currency is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. We have to spend more and more of our currency to get the dollars. So these two things are happening at the same time, the up and the down, the pump and the dump. And these people, they actually think they can manage it and control it. But what it is just an out-of-control Ponzi scheme. Okay, and it's reaching the end of its viability. And that's why this thing called Bitcoin is becoming more and more prominent. Because Bitcoin is immutable. It's pure code, pure math. Okay? It's highly volatile, but it is immutable. You cannot pervert it and distort it the way these people do. Now, don't ask me for any advice on cryptos. Please don't. I just wanted people to understand that this is a never-ending flow. It's like a pump. It's pumping, breathing. It's like a thing that breathes, okay? Raising interest rates, lowering interest rates, raising interest rates, lower, printing more money, sucking money out of the market. It's a game. It's a freaking game by these maniacs to try and control the world and to suck money, not money, but suck value out of everybody else and put it into their vaults. Okay? It's happening on a very extreme level right now. So please, here's what I'm suggesting. Everything that I've just been ranting about, we have no say in any of it. I can't control the button that says raise interest rates or low interest rates. I can't do that, nor can you. So what do you do in the meantime? Well, you look around, you figure out, okay, what's actually happening? Number one, some of these big cities are becoming extremely dangerous. What are you going to do about that? Okay. Number two, food has basically gone up with inflation. Some of it 30, 40, 50, 70, 100%. Butter, 100%. Olive oil, 100% inflation. 3 years ago, no, that didn't happen. It started 3 years ago. So the next thing is housing prices have maxed out. I've been talking to all sorts of young people and their parents. The young people are desperate. They basically are giving up. It's just like, we don't have a chance. We don't have a chance anymore. Housing prices are so high, and they're not going to come down anytime soon because America has the reserve currency. It's different in China. They're having deflation. We're having inflation. So it's very scary. Some of it's very scary. Protect your money, protect your privacy, protect yourself, okay? Find ways to get out of debt. Find ways to bring in more side hustle cash or something. Find ways to be more and more thrifty. Cancel anything that you don't need. You know, look, maybe it's some kind of luxurious item or something. If you live on the margins, kind of like I do, every freaking penny counts. Every freaking dollar counts. So you have to be very, very selective about what you value. And then you have to learn to live within your margins, okay? Hey, SJ, how's Starzy, okay? So some of the people I respect are very active, very avid, what I would call frontline preppers. They're very, very conscientious of food, family, their finances. They're storing 20, 50, 100 gallons of gasoline, 1,000 gallons of water. Some of them are raising chickens. Some of them are growing their own food. A lot of them have very powerful self-defense tools and a lot of ammo to go with it, because the way things are happening, you might not see it right now in your local neighborhood, but I'm starting to see it in areas near me. There are people wandering around that are definitely not from the United States, and these are random folks, but there are, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, there's a lot of people here who are not poor. They are being brought in as militants, and they're going to be put into the United States military, and our military is going to be turned against we the people. That's it. All right, on that cheerful note, let's get on with your reading, Gregory. I don't want to scare everybody, but you got to deal with what's real. You have to open your eyes and see what's actually happening. The United States is being systematically demolished by some very evil elites. Yeah. Ivona, yes, I can still do one. I'm going to shut up now, okay? I've had my rant. Just please be aware, we live in an incredibly privileged environment in this country. However, it has been destroyed by a bunch of people at the very, very top. And there are millions of people at the very bottom of society who are as poor as some of the poorest people on earth. Okay? And it doesn't have to be that way. Okay? I guess that's the point I'm trying to get to. We have so much in this country. We're so fortunate. Yes, Ivona. So that'll be it tonight. We're going to do a reading for Gregory. I'm going to start right now. And then we're going to do a reading for Iwona. If you still want one, Iwona, just you know what to do. You know the drill. So, yeah. Anyway, do what you got to do. Be very selective about your food. Be very careful and thrifty with your gasoline. Make sure you've got good self-defense. Check your house. Check the security on your house. Make sure you have very good situational awareness when you go outside. You go to the grocery store. You go to the gas station. You cross the street somewhere. Because we're at the point where the problems that are happening in America are going to start to spread outside of the cities. Right now it's New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Atlanta, where are the other ones? Boston, a few other places where things are getting very frightening. But that's just the seeds that are germinating, because it's going to go all across America. So prepare yourselves, okay? Please. All right, I'm going to put my notes aside. Let's put all this away. Actually, you know what? I got to get shuffled up here. We got to get ready for your reading. So, Mr. Ross, here we go. Okay. All right. Thanks for your patience. Thanks. Hello, Fluffles. So I talked earlier about the huge military exercises that are going on. They start next week. So it's a little bit tricky here. Page 21. Okay. Maybe if I go over here. It's sad the way they messed it up. All right, so I'm gonna. Okay, here's Nevada, state of Nevada over here. There's Las Vegas. There's the rest of Nevada. This is basically wilderness, desert, rocks, mountains, weird places over here. A lot of it is like very secretive military stuff. And right now, starting next week, we got an announcement here that Nellis Air Force Base, just up the street. Let's see if I can show you. Maybe I can get a... excuse me, I should have planned all this. Las Vegas. You know, I love my maps. Where's Las Vegas? You can't even see it here. Maybe let me get my other. I got the big freaking monster map here. Whoa! Look at this beast. Just want to show you something. Okay. 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 All right, so here's beautiful Nevada. Okay, there's northern Nevada. It's got one highway going through it. Okay, and then here's southern Nevada. There's famous Las Vegas. Okay. And there's the Nellis Air Force Base over there, okay? Here's a close-up. This is the city of Las Vegas. As you can see, it's basically a pancake. North, south, east, west, with like a highway grid around it. Very simple. Very, very simple. This is Nellis Air Force Base. It's an extremely important strategic air command base. And I live right here. Sometimes it gets a bit noisy. But look at the scale of this. Over the next few weeks, we're going to have military exercises all over here. Hundreds and hundreds of square miles. The public has no access here. This is all secret government stuff, okay? So I'm fascinated because it's partly terrifying, but it's also very interesting. Well, to me it is. So thank you for letting me show that to you. I'll put the little one aside for now. Anyway, cheers everybody. Thank you all for your patience. Wait, what is that from Fluffles? Fluffles? Hold on, let me see that. Let me go over here. I want to see if I can read that. So Fluffles has found out how you can turn the ads off during the live TL. Oh, I guess there's an option you have on your channel to put the ads before or during. It was on another tarot channel that does lives, and she had the same problem. There's a toggle for you to switch to put them at the beginning and the end versus during the live. I had no idea. I had no idea at all. Well, thank you for informing us. I guess I can't do anything about it over here. But that's very interesting. I never knew that. I had no idea. All right, so let's get on with Gregory's reading. Gregory's not with us right now, so I know he got in touch with me during the week. Because, you know, I have a bunch of clients all over the world, and I still have phone numbers and emails and all that in case people want to do backup work. But anyway, he said, thank you for the reading from last week, and it was on point and relevant and so on. So that was very encouraging. And so it's going to be the same thing here tonight. We're going to do a reading for Gregory, but he's not here, but he'll catch it later in the week when he goes to see the video. And he can just skip past all the rant and go straight to his reading. You see? Very, very efficient. All right. So, we're going to do the same thing again. Let's have a look here. Let's bless this deck, bless every single card, bless the artist, Pamela Coleman Smith, and the two guys, Ryder and Waite, for putting this thing together. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. By the way, I remember last week or the week before I told you that there's some kind of a big movie coming out called Tarot, T-A-R-O-T. It looks like a cheap horror movie to me from the clip that I saw. And they're demonizing the tarot, of course. They're talking about death and the hanged man and the tower and things like that, you know. And the, let's say, for example, the Knight of Swords. Scary stuff, man. Oh yeah, I think I told you it earlier. My channel got, another video got trashed and on my channel. Some people write in and say horrible things. So anyway, that's kind of the point. I just don't care anymore. I don't have any say on it. I can't control it, so I'm just going to do what I do, and that's it. All right, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Ross, gather around your invisible friends. Let's do that before you get into it. I'm already here. I'm fully set up, ready to go. We're going to use the good old TarotLumination situational spread. And what messages do we have for Gregory tonight? Perhaps for the week ahead or for life or whatever it might be. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things going forward. Let's have a look at the external influences. We've got the Five of Cups. So, I don't want to say I can relate to this personally, but the reality is I can. I'm hoping that you don't take this too personally, Gregory, but there is a massive... We've been dealing with it for the last few days. Okay, I'm just going to point it out here. For the last few days, the moon has been traversing Pisces. So that created a huge stellium and a large cluster where we had moon, Saturn, Sun, and Neptune all over here. We still have Saturn, Sun, and Neptune. The moon is traversing into Aries right now as we speak. But that's a tremendous amount of pressure in the Pisces vibe. And so wherever that lies in your chart, Mr. Ross, there could be a sense of grief, pain, loss, and suffering, because the Pisces energy can sometimes be associated with grief, loss, tragedy, pain, and suffering. And it doesn't mean to necessarily being crippled and completely crushed. It's more to do with understanding the energy. What is grief? You know, where does it come from? Why is it happening? It's out there. Like on the global scale, the way I see it, there's tremendous grief and tragedy ongoing right now. If you look what's happening in Gaza and Palestine, in some parts of Africa, across the Sahel region, it's crippling, utter tragedy. It's very painful. Millions and millions of children starving, dehydrated, disease, and nothing good is going to happen for them at all. Their lives were miserable before they were even born. That's very tragic. And you can take that all the way to the personal scale. If you feel that you are picking up the energy of tragedy, it might not be yours, okay, Gregory? It might be that you are sensing it on the global scale. and if you are sensitive, and I believe you are, you might feel as though it's personal. In other words, I mean, I see it like this as well, because when I look at the world right now, and I look at all that Pisces energy, what I see is tragedy, pain, suffering, okay? A lot of it is happening as a result of human behavior, as a result of certain people who want infinite amounts of power and money and control, and they don't care how they do it, even if it results in tragedy, pain, and suffering for millions of people. Okay? So you might be sensing it. Sometimes it can be a very diffuse energy where you might feel like sad, depressed, lost, frightened, very, very fragile, as though a big tragedy had happened to you, even though you might not have had an actual personal tragedy. You might feel as though you have. And that could be the cumulative energy of what's happening on Earth right now, because some of it is very, very tragic. Look at China. At least 1 billion people right now are descending into a very dark world of suffering and pain. We can't imagine it from here in the United States unless you're chronically homeless, literally on the streets, living on sidewalks. But anyway, let's have a look. What's the situation itself? This is external, okay, Gregory? My feeling is that it's very big and you're picking up on it. You know, it's because of resonance, okay? Because you are sensitive and this is happening anyway, there's a resonance. So you might be feeling as though the pain of the world is infused into your life right now. All the tragedy and pain of others around you, okay? So let's have a look. The situation itself, more cups. This is the Two of Cups. Now, I don't want to pretend like I'm a fortune teller or say that you might have lost someone or something very dear to you, like a cat or a pet or a bird or a dear friend or a family member for whom you cared very deeply. They cared for you very deeply. And there might be some loss in that department. The other way I'm feeling it is that this energy is like very big, very diffuse, and it's kind of overwhelming at the moment. But it's not crippling. It's just that you might be feeling it deep in your heart. Like some people feel this energy, but they conduct their lives anyway as though everything is perfectly normal, but they're actually carrying the energy of grief deep inside their soul. So with the Two of Cups here, my feeling is that you might be getting a little bit shaken up emotionally to the point of realization that the thing that really counts on Earth in this lifetime is being loving and being loved. And it's so pure and it's so simple. You would think that this would be a dominant theme in everyone's life, that this is, if it's so obvious, why don't we just make this like a bumper sticker? Why don't we just make cars and TV shows that have this as their, moniker, their album, their emblem, Maybe you're at a point in life where you have met someone or someone has met you, and there's a certain degree of extremely pure divine resonance. Maybe this does not exist in physical reality, but the theme is so strong that it's starting to vibrate in your life, in your world, where this, in other words, again, with the energy of resonance, you are what you think, having become what you thought. You might be radiating auric energy from your aura that is very, very pure, very divine, very, very loving. You're not even perhaps aware that it's happening. And because of the way physics works, basically the laws of nature, laws of universe, like be loving, be loved, if you're radiating love, that can in turn attract love through the phenomenon of resonance. Be loving, be loved. And you get to the point where, wow, it might actually manifest. I mean, it's one thing to talk about it. Oh, be loving, be loved. Yeah, sounds so easy. In other words, the other part of it is like, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice just to have someone that is so, doesn't have to be physical, doesn't have to be sexual love or anything like that. It doesn't have to be a marriage. It doesn't have to be like a heavy, committed relationship. It can just be the pure joy of being with someone who enjoys your company and whose company that you enjoy, to the point of resonance. Very, very simple. Very, very pure. I don't know if I'm making any sense here. Give me a second, Gregory. I've been lucky in life to have people with whom I feel I resonate. It doesn't mean I'm married to them. It doesn't mean we had sex. It doesn't mean we built houses or anything like that. It just means there was a very powerful connection. It doesn't matter about gender. It's just like be loving and be loved. I know I have been loved very dearly by certain people. And I know that I have loved certain people very dearly. It comes and goes. Sometimes it's literally whew, just like that. Sometimes it's for a lifetime. Sometimes it's for multiple lifetimes. Two of Cups is what it is. So, okay, so let me think here. Actually, thinking is the worst thing I could do right now. All right. Let's keep it very simple. Even though there's immense tragedy out there, it's still possible to love and be loved at the most pure and simple levels possible, okay? Don't ever forget that. And that can happen by choice, by intention, by deliberately choosing to radiate love, being loving, and then enjoying the reciprocal, enjoying the resonance. What's the challenge here? Because it's very, very spiritual, Ellen. It's a very, very spiritual type of love that we're talking. This is like the Neptune type love, the pure love, untainted. Doesn't matter, like if somebody hurt you or whatever, you love anyway. So with the Sun card here in this position, if this tragic vibe energy is permeating into your life to the point where the ability to love and be loved feels as though it's in jeopardy, that could trigger your ability to be simply happy. Okay? Because then it feels like the formula is not working, TL. Be loving, be loved. Sounds so simple, but, where is it? Where is my happiness? I've been loving. I've been very, very loving. I've been kind and generous. So, in other words, there might be an awareness here like, wait a minute, I am loving. But where's my love? Where's the love coming to me? Okay? So, it might feel as though like you're in a very, very delicate, very sensitive situation right now between yourself and the world, or perhaps between yourself and a few loved ones, where your core right sense and duty to be happy, your right to be happy, in other words, like the Aries North Node energy right now, this would be in jeopardy, okay? Because that's actually happening to everybody. You might be having a reading here where you're basically sensing the world energy right now. So with the Sun here, my feeling is that this is what would be your natural right if you could really tune into the North Node and claim your right to be you, no matter how painful it might be to step out there into the unknown and be courageous and just say, you know what, I have the right to be happy. I don't want all my happiness to be contingent upon having somebody or somebody having me, or contingent upon the rest of the world having to be happy. I, Gregory Ross, I have the right to be happy no matter what. And you might be discovering right now that that concept is actually very hard to manifest, because this would feel so alien, so new, so unknown. Because for so many of us across the world right now, billions of us are realizing that we have outsourced our happiness to other people, relationships, trusted that such and such a relationship dynamic would be like a fountain of happiness, a source of happiness. And it's certainly possible when you are loving and you are loved, and it's reciprocal, it's happening in real time. But sometimes it's hard to activate this energy if you don't feel like it's really happening in your life, being loving, being loved. You might need a big hug, Gregory. You might just need a big hug. I wish I could give you a big hug right now. All right, let's have a look. So how are we going to move forward here? Because this looks like a very delicate situation, like a little bit of this where you're realizing that life is a very delicate, very transient phenomenon. We're here, we live, and then we're gone. Might as well make the most of it. How are we going to move forward here? Okay, it's deliberate. You have to choose happiness. You have to create happiness. It is a choice. It feels like we're going in it feels to me like I'm giving you a reading that's about reinforcing and repeating and amplifying the phenomenon of be loving, be loved. And it becomes a choice. It becomes like, oh God, how can I describe it? It's like, once you understand how the phenomenon works, and once you release yourself from specific expectations of what happiness should look like according to your parameters, then you can liberate yourself and you can actually enjoy happiness as it comes to you through nature, through the process, the phenomenon of resonance, when you deliberately choose to be loving despite the pain and suffering that's going on around you. Then you can essentially create happiness in your life, where you can still claim your right to be happy from the inside out and essentially manifest this in your world, your outer world, such that you've got your own version. What does it look like? Everybody has these stereotype expectations of what happiness is supposed to be, what's it supposed to look like, but in fact it's unique for every person. So if you want to think of this as like the happy family, or think of it as perhaps the community that we have here, think of it in your own world there, over there. You're in Santa Fe, for example. So what I'm sensing is it's almost like it feels to me that the reading is about learning how to hypnotize yourself to the extent where you can sense and understand happiness from here, from the inside out, rather than expecting it to come externally to you. And it can be very difficult to do. In other words, it can be very difficult to be loving and then reciprocal, be loved, when there is so much tragedy, pain, and suffering out there. And it's affecting you in here because it's so big out there. Because you're wired. You have antenna. You have a pituitary gland. You're sensing it. You're picking it up. And it is very painful. It's very frightening. It's very tragic. But your ultimate duty is to be your most awesome self and claim your right to be happy anyway. And create your own resonance where, for example, you might have a small handful of people close by that you would consider loving, where they would consider you as loving, you love them, they love you in their own way. It could be simple as somebody that recognizes you, you see them now and again, and it's like a big psychological, emotional hug, a very warm, loving embrace, okay? It does exist, it is real. You have to believe it to see it. Does that make any sense? So many of us go around like, I don't believe it because I can't see it. And that goes in total defiance against be loving, be loved. You have to believe in the phenomenon of being loving in order to receive the reciprocal. It sounds so easy for me to say, but anyway, I hope you get something out of this. Big fat cosmic hug. You deserve it because you radiate, whether you like it or know it or not, Mr. Ross, you radiate a vast aura of love. Okay? Don't ever forget that. And if you're not sensing it coming back to you, you could be the one who's blocking it. Ooh, that's a whole other story. Okay, I'm going to shut up now before we get into a total tailspin here. Okay, doke. Thank you, Gregory. Let's move on. Shut up, TL. Shut up. Get out of this when you can. Oops. Okay, so let me grab the cards here. Oh, no. Let me grab the cards. Where did... I'm just going to clear this deck here. Go over here. Thank you, Gregory. Ivona, you're up. Okay. Can I concentrate on jobs, career? Sure, of course. I just want to have a look at some of those notes there from Fluffles. Give me a second. Thank you, Ivona. I will be with you in just a moment. Fluffles put some notes. Yeah. Hi, necessary. Glad you're back with Fluffles. Yeah. I don't know who you're talking about, Fluffles. 172,000 followers, and so she isn't targeted. It's a simple option. You have to switch it. Thanks, necessary. Okay. Choice of doing random acts of kindness. By the way, that bot that came in here one time with us, Tarot Destroyer. Oh, yeah, I remember that. It was in her live chat, too. She had to block it also. Everyone send Gregory a big hug. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Bots. Yeah. All right. Okay. So I got the message here. Thank you, Ivona. We're going to look at the job career theme. What messages do we have here tonight for Ivona regarding the subject of jobs career? All righty. So that could be 6th house issues astrologically or 10th house issues astrologically. We're going to dig around a little bit. We've got to shuffle up. So give me some time here while I just shuffle things up a little bit. to get the notes on the eclipse while I was at it. April 8th. So that's going to be the new moon over here. So I'm just marking this up for us, okay? This is going to be the big eclipse everyone's talking about. It's a new moon. Okay, so that's Aries Sun and Aries Moon, okay? Over here, and we're in the middle of Mercury retrograde in Aries. It's going to be interesting. There's new moon Aries. Okay, here we go. Just mark that. Okay. So, from what I saw, little bits, I haven't really paid much attention to it, but apparently what they're saying is that the path goes like this across America. And there are lots and lots of people who are talking about it and posting things. So in America, the people where it's going to be most prominent is along this pathway here at the tip of my pen. So there will be a shadow. Okay, it'll look like the sun is being blocked. The sun is being eclipsed out of the sky by the moon. There's usually something. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Is somebody going to be removed from the world stage? You know, somebody very big, prominent. Are they going to be removed, like disappeared? You know, who knows what's going to happen? We're going to witness. We're going to find out for sure. Okay. Yeah, I've seen lots of different. There are towns, and there are mainstream news outlets that are making a huge deal out of this, like the Eclipse Watch videos, Eclipse Watch events. You know, I understand it because it's kind of a big deal. I mean, I'm going to do my best to watch it, but I don't think I'm that close to the line of sight. We'll see. Who knows? It might be cloudy. I don't know. We're gonna find out. All right, Ivona, let's have a look. Let's see what's going on. I'm pretty sure you've got all your invisible friends and your furry friends around you, folks from your past lives and your future lives. All of that. We got all that going on here, so we're going to share big, okay? Okay, so dear TarotLumination card reading phenomenon. What kind of messages do you have here tonight for Ivona regarding jobs, career, and all of that? Let's factor in, of course, the astrology, because that is literally like weather. It affects all of us, whether we like it or know it or not. All right, let's have a look. Here's the situation. Here's some challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. Let's have a look at external influences. So we have the Eight of Wands. Well, that's kind of exciting. Might be something to do with the vibes over here. With all that energy, we might be looking at it. It might be tension, for example. So, I'm trying to look forward here. I don't have the software right now to do projections on the charts. I would have to take some separate time to do that. But my feeling is that the Eight of Wands would be correlating with Mars in Aquarius having some, it's difficult to show here, some good vibes with the Aries energy here, making it very exciting in such a way. I don't know where that would end up in your chart, Ivona, because I don't store your charts in my brain. I have no idea. But anyway, there's an external influence here that is, I would say this is positive, and it could be exciting. There might be situations opening up for you which might make you think, Maybe there is something going on out there. Maybe there is something in which I can immerse myself. Maybe there's something which is actually fun, exciting, which might even be rewarding. Wouldn't that be amazing? Where you actually have things that link up, where not only is it just a job, like maybe drudgery. You know, some jobs are just very, very much to do with the drudgery. But also some jobs are, give me a second here, I'll be right back. Some jobs are sort of, you don't even know you're working. Some people, like when I'm doing these shows, for example, I don't know that I'm working, but it takes up huge amounts of energy, but I don't care because I feel good. I love doing this. And I used to earn my living doing this. I would pay my rent, I would travel all over the place and everything. And I very much had an 8 of Wands life. It was just very rich and fulfilling. Now, so there's, to me it looks like there's potential out there for you. Let me just, you said Cancer Sun. So let me just twiddle this around a bit and put the Cancer Sun on the horizon, okay? So that would look like this. Okay, see where I'm going here? See, there's the Cancer Sun. Put that in the first house and make this a sort of like a solar chart for all the Cancerian people. In which case, you can see, the Aries North Node and Chiron are there simultaneously, right in the middle, at basically, I think it's the 15, 16, or 17 degree mark of Aries. Now it's interesting because with the Chiron in Aries in the 10th house on this chart, now I'm not talking about your ascendant or your rising sign, okay, Ivona? I'm talking about the sun, like the big part of your identity. That's why the sun sign is so important. Excuse me. But for all Cancerian folks, like sun, moon, rising types, the 10th house would be ruled by Aries, okay? And that's Mars. Mars is in Aquarius. That's very rebellious energy. And it's actually pretty harmonious. You can't see it on this chart because the degrees aren't sharp enough yet. But it's strong, harmonious energy, supportive energy towards career and work. But this is very much more to do with career than a job. So a career might be something to do where I'm going to have to use the word again, resonance, where it resonates with you, so it feels like there's purpose and meaning and value to what you would call work, or like a paycheck or a job. So it isn't just a job, it's more like a career, it's more like a mission or so. Okay. Now with the Chiron there, it could indicate that when things aren't working in the world of career and jobs, it can feel extremely painful, above and beyond painful. However, with the North Node there, it's an indication that there's a powerful sort of pull that no matter how scary, weird, or painful it might appear at first, you got to keep going. It's almost like hunting, searching, and exploring the theme of career and job over here. Almost as though there's possibly something. It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it doesn't mean you're going to be filthy rich or anything, but something that is very meaningful to you, where you provide value and the value is appreciated, okay? Where you have skills, leadership, abilities that has the chance of being appreciated by others, okay? Perhaps leading people in some way. I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm not going to try to define the job, okay? But it looks like there's potential there, and the energy is scintillating. It's kind of exciting, and there might be some stimulation there that might be making you think, like, maybe I really need to look at this whole job career aspect of my life and really focus right now. Because there's energy there to support it, okay? Let's have a look at the situation itself. Okay, so we got the Chariot. It might be something to do with being self-employed. However, for that to happen, it means you would actually have to be your own motivator. You would have to be the person who, it's like you are your boss and you are your own employee simultaneously. So sometimes that's really hard to do. With the Chariot energy, it might be an indication here in this reading that there's a huge difference between going out and looking for a job that has a paycheck where you are an employee relative to being more like self-employed or an entrepreneur, where you're the person who has to motivate yourself in the morning to get up and do this and get up and do that in such a way that is fulfilling and exciting and fun and rewarding for you. Not a lot of people want to do that. Most people, a lot of people, they might think they want to, but a lot of people are actually more likely to be employees than entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs can also be employers. If, like, really successful entrepreneurs in whatever their field, it could be common for them to have employees where the entrepreneur is a leader. They are in the forefront. They take the risks. They jump forward. They dive into the unknown every single day. That's one of the things about Aries leadership, Aries North Node. It means having the willingness, the courage to dive into what you would perceive as the future, but which is actually the present. In other words, being extremely present in the now, and remembering that the now is perpetual. It's always now. We look at it like, oh, that just happened, or what's happening tomorrow? But it's, in terms of the universe, it's all now. What about now? What now? What now? What now? So with the Chariot card there, it makes me feel as though I'm not saying, oh, you have to go out and become your own boss. You have to go out and start your own business. But it might be something to think about. The tricky part about that is how do you market and promote yourself and things like that. How do people, that's often the biggest challenge for people who are self-employed or who wish to be self-employed. How do they bring their goods and services to the world marketplace, to other people? And they end up realizing, my God, I have to spend 90% of my time doing sales and marketing to get myself out there so that people can appreciate my goods and services. So I don't know. Let's see. Let's keep going. Now, what are the challenges here? Job, career, messages, please. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look. Okay, with all that, it is work. Okay, especially being self-employed. Being self-employed could be extremely demanding, to the point where a lot of people think, I wish I'd never bothered. I wish I hadn't bothered. I think Love Triber was telling me a story the other day about a friend of hers who started a business and put so much into it, and then almost immediately the whole thing collapsed. And for whatever reason, I don't remember the story, but anyway, if you are very idealistic, Ivona, for example, and you really want to be the boss in charge of your own world and kind of be your own, be self-employed or something like that, the reality is, and you probably know this already, is that it can be very demanding, because when things go wrong, there's no one else to blame. And you end up having to carry the full burden of anything and everything that goes wrong. And that's why a lot of people would just prefer to get a job. I'd rather just be an employee, get up, do what I got to do, get my paycheck and go home, put my feet up, relax. I don't have to think about planning the future or organizing things or creating momentum or creating success out of thin air. I just, I have a job. I think you know already. I have a feeling you are very aware already that there might be a part of you, I would love to be my own boss, self-employed, but the challenge is getting up, starting it, having a startup business, creating it. It can be very, very, very challenging, even though it can be very exciting and rewarding. I'm starting to lose my voice. I'm sorry. Let's see. How are we going to move forward here? Okay, Avona, let's have a look. Wow. We got the Emperor here. Well, I'm getting two very strong, very simple messages here. Ivona, you have to move forward. It's like you're going to have to take charge of the situation. You're going to have to do something. It means being active, putting energy into the subject of career/job. And you're either going to have to find a really capable employer, boss person of whom you have immense respect, who is a very good leader, business person, with whom you could have a viable work, job, career situation, or you are going to have to become your own boss. You are the boss of you, and just become the boss of you. Okay? And don't be frightened of that. It is possible. There are people who do that. You might have some ideas already. I love bouncing ideas around. You know that, Ivona. I would be very happy to follow up with you discreetly, perhaps, very low-key during the week. If you want to bounce around some ideas, it's up to you. But anyway, it looks very obvious here, okay? I'm going to tell you a story now, okay? The reading is over, but I'm going to tell you a story. This is for everybody, okay? I might have told this story already. This was even before I had my YouTube channel, but it was one of my wake-up moments when I was being pushed very, very heavily by my invisible friends and my guardian angels. Like, TL, you've got to do something with your thing that you do. And I was like, I was living like Matt Damon in the movie Hereafter. Like, I don't want to do this psychic medium stuff. I don't want to be, a fortune teller. I don't want to sit here having to, do all that stuff. It's so hocus pocus. It's so intangible. It takes you so far away from physical reality. Why can't I become like, a motorcycle engine technician? I could do that. Hi, Bubba. Hold on a second. Hey, Bubba. I took all your water. So, this is the story. After this little story, we'll just wrap up the show and say goodnight. Okay, Bubba. I know you want to come on up. Come on. You can come up. You can visit. Hi, Bubba. Bubba's here. Here's little Bubba. He's come to supervise. He's making sure I did a good show. Did I do a good show, Bubba? Yeah. Yeah, he's here. He's in a very serene spot right now. In some ways, he's kind of hypersensitive. He's always very alert and acute and almost sleeps with one eye open because he wants to make sure he is aware of anything and everything that's going on. Anyway, the little story is that I was in Venice Beach, hanging around, doing my coffee shops and things, and I was doing random card readings for people because it was just something to do, And I was you're half asleep, Bubba. Anyway, let's just have a cuddle here. You just stay with me for a minute, okay? So, anyway, there was this mystical bookshop across the street. And there were these signs for this big event for the evening and guest speakers and audience and everything. And I could see it, and I thought, oh God, I don't want to get saturated in all that, mystical stuff. I've had enough. But my angel said, get in there. You have to go inside. And so I went inside. What's the lady's name? She's kind of a big deal in the spiritual world. Anyway, at the end of the seminar, she said, okay, everybody, I want you all to pick a partner and you're going to do readings for each other. These are going to be psychic readings. You can do it. You can do it. I promise. And I went, oh, no. And anyway, so I looked at the lady next to me. And she looked at me and I said, okay, well, let's do it. So anyway, I gave her a reading and it was spot on. And she was sort of like this, like, oh, yeah. So that was very affirming. And then the host for the evening said, okay, everybody, switch partners. Get up, stand around, walk around, enjoy yourselves, have your crackers and cookies and your glass of wine, and find somebody else. Okay? So that's what I did. And I was called way to the back of the room where these people who did not look very spiritual were hanging out. They looked like really corporate, high-tech, big money people. Different kind of clothing instead of like Venice Beach hippie look. Anyway, so I went to the back of the room. This guy looked at me. I looked at the guy. And I said to him, I said, I guess you're it. And he went, yeah, I guess I'm it. So if I'm it, then you're it. So we're going to do readings for each other. And I went, yep, that's it. So anyway, it started instantly. Once I had made the commitment and accepted the situation for what it was, basically everything came to me. And so I was face to face with this gentleman, and he had the aura of someone physically very capable. Like women would probably see him as highly desirable, like beautiful women would be attracted to him because he had this aura of money and power and capability, but also goodness. And so I kind of looked at him and I was like picking up very powerful messages, and it came down to 2 words. And I looked at him, I said, I'm getting very powerful messages. 2 words. Employee, entrepreneur. E. Employee or entrepreneur. And then to cut a long story short, I basically said, listen, guy, you are at war within yourself. You are a very highly paid employee. You're very, very good at what you do. You're very successful. Make a lot of money. Great. What more could you want? And then I kind of went at him. Well, I'm telling you, I can sense the war inside of you, because what you want is to be an entrepreneur. You want to be your own boss. You want to be self-employed. Hold on. I see some notes from Ivona. Give me a second. We'll come back to the story. Here's the thing. I'm starting a new job in a week for a company, but I need to recover financially after 5 years of unemployment. I'd rather work for myself, but I'm happy this came along. Fan-freaking-tastic! That's exciting. That's eight of wands exciting. Oh. Go, Ivona. Anyway, I'm glad you got something out of your reading. Let me finish the story, okay, Ivona? And we can follow up another time. So anyway, I was talking to this guy, and I blurted it out. It's employed. It's employee or entrepreneur. What's it going to be? And I looked at him. I said, "Man, you gotta figure this out, because this is a war. You are not going to be able to get out of this war until you make a decision. You want to continue to be an employee and just suck it up? Or do you want to be an entrepreneur? Because I can tell from here that your heart is screaming, I want to be my own boss. I want to be an entrepreneur. And then all of a sudden, his gorgeous supermodel girlfriend kind of stood up and went, and the guy said, yeah, basically you're on it. That's it. That's me. That's my life, my world right now. I'm torn apart inside. I don't know what to do. I've been an employee my whole life. I'm really good. I have a lot of money. I'm successful. But I want to be my own boss. And I said, you're not going to be happy until you are your own boss. I'm sorry to deliver that news. That's just how it is. That's what my angels, or my invisible friends, are informing me to inform you. There's your reading, sir. And he went, and his girlfriend was like, yeah, that's it. Anyway, see that good pay too. Go, Ivona! Okay, everybody, I'm literally losing my voice. Let's leave on this very happy note for Ivona. Thank you, Gregory. You did show up. Anyway, I did your reading, and you weren't here, but your reading is there. You can do the rewind and watch later, okay? Congratulations, Ivona. Thanks, everybody else, for hanging out. I'm going to wrap it up, get out of here really fast, and we'll see each other again soon, okay? So, yeah, it was a great story. It was a very powerful, blunt, very, very blunt, vivid, unambiguous reading. Okay? Good night, Tina. Good night, everybody. I'm going to wrap out of here.